party set to sack Mugabe, Zimbabweans celebrate expected downfall. Harare, Reuters. Zimbabwe's ruling party will dismiss President Robert Mugabe on Sunday and reinstate Emmerson Mnangagwa, the vice president he fired, two party sources told Reuters on Saturday, as ecstatic crowds celebrated the expected downfall. Mugabe's 37-year rule has been effectively at an end since the army seized control on Wednesday, confining him to his residence, saying it wanted to target the criminals around him. State television said Mugabe would meet military commanders on Sunday, quoting Catholic priest Fidelis Mukonori, who has been mediating in negotiations with the president. But hundreds of thousands of people had no need for a formal signal that his time had ended as they flooded the streets of Harare, singing, dancing, and hugging soldiers. In scenes reminiscent of the downfall of Romanian dictator Nicolae Ceausescu in 1989, men, women, and children ran alongside the armored cars and the troops who stepped in this week to oust the only ruler Zimbabwe has known since independence in 1980. Others marched towards his lavish blue roof residence but were kept away by soldiers. Under house arrest in his compound, the 93-year-old has watched support from his party, security services and people evaporate in less than 3 days. The sources said of ZANU-PF Party Central Committee meetings scheduled for 10:30 a.m. 0830 GMT would also dismiss 93-year-old Mugabe's preferred successor, his wife Grace, from her role as head of his ZANU-PF Women's League. Mugabe's nephew Patrick João, speaking from an undisclosed location in South Africa, told Reuters the leader and his wife were ready to die for what is correct, rather than step down in order to legitimize what he described as a coup. João also said that only Mugabe, who had hardly slept since the military took over but was otherwise in good health, could call a meeting of the Central Committee. Tears of joy. It was not clear from reading the party's constitution who is empowered to call such a meeting, but events appeared to have made the issue irrelevant. On Harare streets, Zimbabweans spoke of a second liberation for the former British colony, alongside their dreams of political and economic change after 2 decades of deepening repression and hardship. "These are tears of joy," said Frank Mnangagwa, 34, holding aloft the Zimbabwean flag. "I've been waiting all my life for this day. Free at last. We are free at last." Mugabe's downfall is likely to send shockwaves across Africa, where a number of entrenched strongmen, from Uganda's Yoweri Museveni to Democratic Republic of Congo's Joseph Kabila, are facing mounting pressure to step aside. The crowds in Harare have so far given a quasi-democratic veneer to the army's intervention, backing its claims that it is merely effecting a constitutional transfer of power, which would help it avoid the diplomatic backlash and opprobrium that normally follows a coup. The military had been prompted to act by Mugabe's decision to sack Mnangagwa, Grace Mugabe's main rival to succeed her husband. The next presidential election is due next year. Zimbabweans abroad were also hailing the end of Mugabe's rule, not least the hundreds living in Britain who gathered outside their embassy in central London. "I'm ecstatic to see people give Mugabe a reality check, because he has been in his echo chamber for too long, lying to himself that people still want him," said Ruba Kudambo, 37, who came to study technology and ended up staying. Tasa, a 36-year-old who refused to give his family name, said he had brought his 4 young children, aged 5 to 9, to the protest because they are the future of Zimbabwe. For some Africans, Mugabe remains a nationalist hero, the continent's last independence leader and a symbol of its struggle to throw off the legacy of decades of colonial subjugation. But to many more at home and abroad, he was reviled as a dictator happy to resort to violence to retain power and to run a once promising economy into the ground. Political sources and intelligence documents seen by Reuters said Mugabe's exit was likely to pave the way for an interim unity government led by Mnangagwa, a lifelong Mugabeite and former security chief known as the Crocodile. Stabilizing the free-falling economy will be the #1 priority, the documents said. The United States, a longtime critic of Mugabe, said it was looking forward to a new era in Zimbabwe, while President Ian Khama of neighboring Botswana said Mugabe had no diplomatic support in the region and should resign at once. The Herald, the state newspaper that has served as Mugabe's loyal